Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can get your agency to the point where you don't need to do anything if you don't want to, because you can still make the same amount of money that you are making right now, even a bit more, by actually doing less and doing even nothing in some cases. And the way that we do this is through hiring. And hiring is one of the topics which is so difficult to cover, and so many people get this wrong. If you can do this right, it's going to be such an asset for your business, and it's not just going to help you with this agency right now, it's going to help you with all aspects of life. And so I've got my agency to the point right now where we have over 20 team members, and I currently make multi-six figures a year. And if I wanted to, I don't actually have to step into the day-to-day of the business, right? I do a lot of the time because I'm trying to grow this thing and get it further. But if I didn't want to, and I just wanted to, keep it as it is now, I don't really have to do a whole lot. And so what I would say is that if you are an entrepreneur, if you are someone who's running an agency right now, your job as an entrepreneur is not to be in the day-to-day running of the business. It's not to manage Facebook ads or reply to client emails or anything like that. Your job is to simply to steer the ship forward so that it can make the most money possible and to set it in the right direction. If you imagine the captain of a ship is not the person who is steering the ship. He's not the person who is doing the small jobs, right? Doing the specific manual work. What the captain is doing is making sure that everyone is doing their right jobs, making sure that the ship is going in the right direction, making sure that it's on time, making sure that, things are being thought about. He's being proactive about things. That's what the captain is supposed to do. And your job as an entrepreneur is to either be that captain or hire someone to be that captain for you. And so what I would say as well is that if you are looking to outsource certain parts of your business, if you don't want to do the Facebook ads, if you don't want to respond to client queries or anything like that, then before you do that, you need to make sure that you are the best person possible to do that. You've done this a million times before, and you are actually able to show someone specifically how you can do it. A lot of times I see people who want to outsource the media buying straight away. They just want to go and sign clients, and they just want to, have someone come in and manage that for you and just deliver client results. But what you'll quickly find is that if you don't know how to actually deliver client results, if you don't know how to do media buying, if you don't know how to do the thing that you're outsourcing for, then you will never know if it's being done properly. And when things do break, which they always do, this is the first thing you'll realize as a business owner, is that things just break when you didn't think that could possibly break, but things do break. And when that happens, you're going to be the person who has to fix it, because the person who's the media buyer, the person who's the appointment setter, the person who's the salesperson, ultimately the buck stops with you and their responsibility stops at a certain point, whereas yours just keeps going on forever because, of course, you are the owner, you have full responsibility. And so when something does break, you need to have the understanding to know how to go and fix this, because you can't rely on the person that you outsourced to fix the problem that they made, because one, it probably isn't in their responsibilities, and two, they probably can't do that. If they're the ones that made the mistake in the first place, they're probably not the person who's going to actually go be able to fix this, because they wouldn't have made that mistake in the first place. So the playbook is pretty simple, and how it goes is that you should do every task to begin with. You should fill your calendar full of tasks, and when you first start a business, there's going to be a lot of tasks, and that's why you have to work pretty damn hard. You have to work 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours in a day sometimes, working weekends, Sundays, all sorts. And so you're supposed to fill your calendar with as many tasks as possible, and you get the point to where the business is making some kind of money, decent money, but you just physically can't do any more because you cannot work any harder. Of course, I'd probably advocate having some days off because you don't want to drive yourself into the ground and work for, 100 days in a row or something crazy. But once you have a full calendar, then you can start to think, okay, we're making this amount of money, this amount per hour, this is how much the rate is for my work. And so now I'm going to pick one of these tasks to give to someone else. And in order to do this, you need to create rock solid SOPs. You need to create standard operating procedures that an absolute idiot could follow. Because if you don't, then the person that you're going to hire will actually require someone to have a little bit of talent, someone who can actually figure things out on their own, which is of course going to drive up the costs. But if you create an SOP which is completely idiot proof, anyone could do it, a child could do it, then you can hire someone to do this who doesn't have the most skills in the world, and you know that they're going to do that task right, because all they have to do is just copy what you're doing. And so the way you actually do this is the next time you have a task to do, so let's say we're talking about media buying, for example, you just want to list out every single step of that process in a document in very rough form. And you say, first of all, what am I checking for? I'm checking to see if the cost per lead has gone above, $20 or something like that, then I'm going to check to see if the cost per click has gone above a certain amount. Okay. And so if the cost per lead is a certain amount, and if the cost per click is a certain amount, then I know I'm going to turn this ad set off, or I'm going to turn it on. And you're going to follow that decision-making process in a document of exactly what you're doing. I'm doing this, then I'm doing this, then I'm doing this. This is my thought process. This is what I'm looking for. And so an absolute idiot could follow this process and just duplicate what you're doing. Once you have that down, you then want to put it into something which is nicely formatted, a nice document, so that it is very easy to read and it's a very step-by-step process. This requires a little bit of thought. Sometimes you've got to think about, which task goes first, which task goes second. Does this person need to know a bit of information first before they actually know how to do this task? Once you have that down, you have it formatted, these documents can often be quite long. The next time that you go and do this task, you then want to just record yourself doing it. And so for the vast majority of people, it's going to be a screen recording. You just want to screen record yourself going through this SOP, let's say the media buying example, and you just want to record yourself saying, okay, I'm looking for this. This is what we've got. So this is the decision that I'm going to make. And so I'm going to turn this ad set off. I'm going to turn it on. And you're going through a step-by-step process of how to actually do this. And so the person who's going to do this task for you not only has the step-by-step document, but they also have a video showing you exactly what to do. Press this button, do this thing, click this, type this, whatever it may be. And so there is no doubt in your mind and in the person's mind who's going to be doing this task exactly how to do it. And so now you have an SOP and you have the actual ability to replace yourself in the business, which is probably the most underrated thing in business. It's probably one of the things that a lot of people don't really value, but being able to create SOPs and replace yourself and actually to teach people and to coach people in such a high leverage way where you don't have to do it one by one. You can just show someone a document. You can just send over some information. This is such an important skill and such a huge asset for your business. And what this means is now you can focus on other things. You now have this gap in your calendar where you did a certain thing at a certain time every day or every week. And so now you no longer have to do this. And what your next job is to find the next task to actually go and do. Now, if you're at a point where you're happy with how much money your business is making, how much profit you're making, then I guess you don't have to do anything at all. You can just stay making 10K a month, 20K a month, whatever it may be, and you can just stay at that point forever and just maybe work a couple hours a week, just overseeing people who are doing this task, checking in with people, making sure things are going fine, and obviously just making sure that you make updates when anything needs to be changed. But like a lot of people, we're going to want to actually do more. And so the next tasks that we're going to do are going to be revolved around which direction and where we want to take the business. And so let's say, for example, if you have only been doing outbound, cold emails for your business in order to generate new business, you might be taking, 2 free sales calls a day, something like that. And let's say you want to up this to 5 calls, right? And so instead of doing more cold emails, we're also going to add in some paid ads. So now we're going to focus on this. We're also going to hire a salesperson to make sure that the more calls are being done. But of course, if you're going to hire that salesperson, then you want to make sure that you have the right process in place. Again, it's same SOPs. This is the step-by-step process of how we do things. Make sure you're actually good at doing sales calls in the first place and you actually have a good conversion rate. Because if you don't, again, you can't teach someone, or you can't fix something if you don't actually know how to actually do this in the first place. And if you're wondering what to outsource in the first place, like what makes sense, is it the media buying, is it the sales, is it the outreach, like whatever it is, right? There's 2 schools of thoughts on this, and I'll give you my opinion on the end. And so the first way of thinking about this is actually just working out what this cost per hour is to you to outsource. So let's say something which would be relatively cheap, like, someone who does a general VA. So someone who does like spreadsheet automations or something like that. They just manage a spreadsheet. You're talking like $3 to $5 an hour, right? And so if your business, if you make more than $3 to $5 an hour, let's say you make, $2,000 a week and you work for 20 hours, for example, then that's $100 per hour. If you make anything less than that, or any task you can outsource for less than that, then you should probably outsource that. So obviously it's going to cost you $3, $5 an hour to outsource, but you actually make $100 an hour with your normal work, then you should probably outsource that because it isn't actually worth your time to go and do, right? So that's one school of thought. But the second school of thought is actually just focusing on what you don't like to do. There's a famous saying a lot of entrepreneurs talk about, that to hire where it hurts. Now this basically means that if you have something which you just don't like doing, if you have something which maybe just doesn't excite you when you get up in the morning, you think, oh my God, I've got to do this task again, then that's probably one of the places to start. Simply because you're going to get burnt out a lot quicker if you're doing things that you don't like to do, if you're doing things which, don't give you any sort of motivation. And so you should find something which basically you just don't want to do in the first place. And I think some kind of hybrid for this would make sense. If there's something which costs quite a lot of money to outsource and you just don't like doing it, like let's say, for example, media buying, right? You hate doing media buying, but to find a really good media buyer, someone who's actually very good at their job, it might take you quite a long time to actually, get to that person and to find that person who's the right fit for the job. Then you probably don't want to outsource media buying straight away, right? You might want to have to wait a little bit for that, right? Even if it's something that you absolutely hate to do. But if there is something which you hate to do and it doesn't cost you a lot of money to outsource, like let's say, managing spreadsheets or something like that, then I would recommend doing that straight away. And so you want to have some kind of hybrid approach in there. And just to double check and just to confirm again, you do not want to outsource anything which you just simply can't do. So anything which you think like, the reason I don't like doing this is because I can't actually do it. I quite struggle at doing this. That's not a reason to outsource something. You need to get better at that skill, especially when you're going to be a small business owner, a small agency owner. Every single skill that you have in that business, every single task you have in that business, you need to have the skill for it. You need to be able to know how to do it, because if you don't, then like I said, things are just going to break. So yeah, that's how you remove yourself from the business. And if you do this, you might never have to work on your agency again if you don't want to. But yeah, cheers.